It has been over 4 decades since Back to the Future first sent us racing through time, and the stars behind Hill Valley have experienced journeys just as surprising as anything Doc Brown invented. Let us take a look at what happened to the cast who turned a DeLorean into one of the most iconic rides in TV and science fiction history. Michael J. Fox was the kid in the orange vest who made time travel cool and turned Marty McFly into an instant 80s icon. At just 24, he starred in all 3 Back to the Future films, but his ride to Hill Valley nearly did not happen. 5 weeks into filming, Fox replaced Eric Stoltz and jumped straight into night shoots for Back to the Future after working full days on Family Ties. That punishing schedule did not slow him down. 1985 brought a double hit with Teen Wolf and 3 Emmy wins for Family Ties. Behind the scenes, Fox's life took a sharp turn. In 1991, at age 29, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, a fact he kept private for 7 years while he continued acting, even picking up a 4th Emmy for Spin City. By 2000, he had shifted his focus and launched the Michael J. Fox Foundation, which has raised more than $1 billion for Parkinson's research. Fox married Tracy Pollan in 1988, and together they raised 4 children. Now, in 2026, he is 64, his Parkinson's symptoms are advanced, and he is retired from acting, dedicating himself fully to the foundation. The teenager who once skateboarded through Hill Valley now faces daily mobility struggles, but his real-life legacy as an advocate and hero runs deeper than any movie script. Great Scott! Christopher Lloyd, with his wild white hair and manic energy, brought Doc Brown to life like nobody else could. In 1985, Lloyd was already 47 and a 2-time Emmy winner for his unforgettable work on Taxi, but Doc Brown became his signature role, a mad scientist whose catchphrases and time-traveling DeLorean became pop culture staples. Lloyd did not slow down after Hill Valley. He turned heads as the menacing Judge Doom in Who Framed Roger Rabbit in 1988, then flipped the script as the lovable Uncle Fester in the Addams Family movies, starting in 1991. Even as the years rolled on, Lloyd kept working, popping up in films, television, and even lending his voice to animated projects well into his 80s. Off-screen, his friendship with Michael J. Fox lasted more than 40 years, with Lloyd standing by Fox through every step of his Parkinson's battle, proof that some bonds go way beyond the movies. Lloyd has been married 5 times, with his current marriage beginning in 2016, and he has never had children. Now, at 87, he is still making appearances at conventions and the occasional film, fully embracing the Doc Brown legacy. For Lloyd, the future does not need roads or retirement. Lea Thompson pulled off one of the trilogy's cleverest tricks, playing Marty's mom as both a love-struck 1955 teenager and a weary 1985 housewife. At just 24, the same age as Michael J. Fox, she spent hours in the makeup chair, transforming into a middle-aged mom before stepping back into saddle shoes for the high school dance. The technical challenge did not stop at latex and wigs. Thompson sometimes acted opposite herself, switching gears between Lorraine's awkward innocence and her more jaded adult side, all in the same scene. After Hill Valley, Thompson kept her career on a steady course. She headlined the sitcom Caroline in the City through the late 1990s and later appeared in the series Mom. Behind the camera, she directed episodes of television, quietly building a reputation for versatility and reliability in a business that rarely offers either. Off-set, she married director Howard Deutsch in 1989, and their 2 daughters followed her into acting. Now, 64, Thompson is still balancing acting and directing, marking over 40 years of solid work. She never needed a DeLorean to make the most of her one life. She just kept showing up, year after year, and made it count. Crispin Glover played George McFly as a bundle of nerves and awkwardness, but his real-life story after the first film was even more intense. At just 21, Glover made George unforgettable, then walked away from the sequels over a money dispute. Instead of recasting, the studio used another actor in heavy prosthetics to mimic him for parts 2 and 3, sparking outrage. Glover sued for unauthorized use of his likeness and reportedly settled for more than $760,000, a move that forced Hollywood to rewrite the rules on recreating actors without their consent. By 2026, Glover is 61, still making odd indie films, rarely discussing Back to the Future, and attending conventions only when he must. Like George finally standing up to Biff, Glover stood up to the studio and drew a legal line in the sand that changed the industry. Entertainment law professors often point to the so-called Glover settlement as a turning point in Hollywood's treatment of actors' likeness rights. When Crispin Glover sued over the unauthorized recreation of his face in Back to the Future. Part 2, the reported $760,000 settlement forced studios to rethink their approach. That case did not just resolve a single dispute, it led to the adoption of what insiders now call Glover clauses, contract terms that require explicit actor consent for any use of their image, whether by prosthetics, digital effects, or more recently, artificial intelligence. By 2026, these protections have become standard, shaping everything from de-aging in blockbusters to the union rules governing artificial intelligence replicas. What started as one actor's fight for control has become the industry's foundation for digital ethics. Biff Tannen may have ruled the halls of Hill Valley with a fistful of threats, but Thomas F. Wilson, the man behind the bully, has spent decades proving he is nothing like his on-screen persona. At age 26, Wilson brought Biff's bluster to life in all 3 films, but off-camera he is a gentle soul with a knack for making people laugh. Instead of letting Biff define him, Wilson turned the experience into comedy gold, touring the country with his stand-up act and performing his fan-favorite routine, Biff's Question Song, lampooning the endless questions he gets from Back to the Future fans. His voice has popped up everywhere, from SpongeBob SquarePants to Batman cartoons, and when he is not acting or telling jokes, he paints, swapping manure for roses, one canvas at a time. Married since 1985 and a father of 4, Wilson, now 66, has built a creative, family-centered life that is a world away from Biff's bullying. For him, the legacy is not about being the villain. It is about turning the past into art, laughter, and a little bit of kindness. Claudia Wells played the original Jennifer Parker, the girl left waiting on the porch while Marty raced through time. At just 18, Wells landed the part, but her Hollywood story took a sharp turn after the first film. When her mother was diagnosed with cancer, Wells stepped away from acting to care for her, passing up the sequels and any shot at blockbuster fame. Instead, she opened Armani Wells, a men's clothing store in Los Angeles, and quietly built a different kind of life, one focused on family and her own sense of purpose. By 2026, Wells is 59, still running her shop and making occasional appearances at fan conventions, content with the path she chose. Elizabeth Shue took over as Jennifer in parts 2 and the 3rd, stepping into Hill Valley at 25 and spending much of her first outing unconscious. But Shue's career soared beyond Back to the Future. She earned an Oscar nomination for Leaving Las Vegas in 1995, returned to Harvard to finish her degree in 2000, and built a steady career in film and television. Now 62, married to director Davis Guggenheim with 3 children, Shue rarely talks about her time as Jennifer. For Wells, success meant caring for family. For Shue, it meant chasing her ambition. Both wrote their own stories, each with a different definition of what it means to win. Wendy Jo Sperber was the life of every scene as Linda McFly, Marty's boy-crazy sister, always glued to the phone. She was just 26 when the first film hit theaters, already known for her roles in Bosom Buddies with Tom Hanks and Bachelor Party. But her story took a heartbreaking turn in 1997 when she was diagnosed with breast cancer at only 39. Even as she faced years of treatment, Sperber kept working and raising 2 children on her own, determined not to let the disease define her. In 2001, she turned her struggle into hope for others by founding the WeSpark Cancer Support Center, a place where patients and families could find real comfort and community. Sperber spent her final years helping countless others navigate the same fight she was waging. She died on December 29, 2005, at just 47, leaving behind a legacy of compassion that still touches lives today. Gone too soon, but never forgotten. Nobody called out slackers like Principal Strickland, and nobody played authority figures with more conviction than James Tolkan. At 54, Tolkan brought his signature tough guy glare to Hill Valley High, but his career stretched far beyond chasing McFlys down the hallway. Over 4 decades, he racked up more than 120 film and TV credits, often as the no-nonsense boss, the gruff instructor in Top Gun, or the hard-edged commander in War Games. Typecasting never slowed him down. It just meant steady work, year after year. While other cast members rode fame's roller coaster or took wild detours, Tolkan kept showing up, always reliable, always sharp. By 2026, he is 95 and finally retired, but his legacy lives on at fan conventions, where Strickland's scowl still gets a laugh. For a man who called everyone else a slacker, Tolkan's work ethic stands as one of the most consistent in Hollywood. 40 years on, these actors remind us, time only moves forward, but legacies, both on screen and off, keep echoing. As Hollywood debates AI and digital likeness, the choices and courage of this cast still set the standard. The future they imagined is here, and the story isn't finished yet.